Thank you.
All right, I'm waiting on the notifications, sir. Okay, boom, perfect. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us, none other than Brother Shawn, the businessman, Brother Shawn 7X, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.
This means a lot to myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast. The first thing we want to know, sir, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
First of all, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah who appeared to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad and his servant, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the man in our midst today, the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan. In these three great names, I come to you with greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. I first heard the teaching back in the 70s. You know, in the 70s, when the minister had stood back up, when I wasn't involved in it, never was, never thought about it, just I would hear it, you know, and I would ask my father certain questions about him. My father would say, "Don't pay him no mind." You know, at that time, we was young, you know, but that's when I first heard the teaching. How did I come into the teachings?
Yes, sir.
I was in prison, and I was a 5%er at that time, and I would always see the person, they called him an enlightened at that time, I would always see him. He was a 5%, but he prayed. And most 5%ers don't pray. And I caught him praying one day, and I asked him, "Yo, what you doing praying, God?" I said, "God don't pray." He said, "Yes, he does." Right? And I said, "No, he don't." He said, "Yes, he does." And he went and opened up the lessons. He quoted the lesson. He said, "What will be your rewards in regards to destruction of the devil?" He said, "I fast and I pray." He said, "Stop." He said, "This is the God talking to the God, asking him a question." And the answer was, "I fast and I pray." He said, so we do pray. He said, "But I've never seen the gods pray." The God said, "We don't pray." He said, "Well, most don't understand prayer." And I said, okay. I said, "Well, I want to pray." He said, "Don't pray till you can show and prove why you pray." He said, "Otherwise they're going to attack you." And it took me several years before I could pray. And I remember watching a video of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is why we were in prison. Of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and it was a Savior's Day, and he was in a full green uniform, the FOI uniform. They was in full green, and he was explaining prayer, and he talked about how in prayer we put our right over our left, and we hold it. He said in karate, that's a form of where you control. So we need to control our appetites, our lower desires. And he went on to break down that prayer, break down the movements of the prayer. And that's what I used. So when they were asking me why I prayed, I was able to explain. I watched that video, I would say a minimum of probably 75 times, watching how the minister was breaking down prayer. And due to that, I would pray more. And the gods would challenge me, but they would back off because I was able to defend it and show why God prays. And they said, okay, and they left me alone. But due to the conflict, the conflict that I had at the time, I decided I might as well just go into the nation. Because I'd always admired the way the brothers moved, the cleanliness, the love that they showed for one another. I've never seen the brothers in the nation, when we were locked up, we never argued with one another, you know. But I would always see my brothers, you know, they would have differences, but nothing real serious. But I just love the way the brothers look, you know. I love the way the brothers look, and that's what brought me into the nation. You know, and the video that really made me over the edge was "Who is God?" You know, that was it. That sealed my date. From that day forward, I have nothing but FOI. Love the nation. Oh, praise be
to Allah. Yes, sir. And thank you for your story. My sister Miriam sends the greetings, and brother Jermaine sends the greetings. Well, this brother Jermaine's first time watching live. Thank you, brother Jermaine, for watching. Yes, sir. And thank you all. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast. Now, brother Shawn, we spoke earlier when you were in prison that you were with a brother who I interviewed previously. How did that come about?
Who, brother Larry Rivera.
Yes, sir.
We called him Larry X at that time. He was considered our captain at that time, and he was very hard nosed and straight. I mean, he was very. When I say hard nosed and straight, you couldn't get more disciplined than him, because he was, as the minister said, he was discipline times discipline squared. You know, he made us and kept us so sharp and on our toes. We had to be right. They would call chow, and brother Larry would sit on the top of the hill and watch the brothers come out, right? And whenever you saw him, you made sure everything was correct. You made sure your cuffs was right. You made sure your boots was shine. You made sure everything, meaning your shirt was buttoned, and your button had to be in the middle of your belt buckle. Your belt buckle had to be right above your zipper, where everything was just one straight line. You know, when we would have FOI classes on Monday nights, and the entrance into FOI classes, that your boots had to be as shiny or shiny than his to enter the class. And you would come to the door, and he would have his foot at the door, and you had to put your boot next to his boot. And if you didn't pass, there was polish and water there to shine your boots to get it cut. And now, mind you, if you came in late, it was 25 push-ups. And the only way you would get in late if your boots wasn't shiny. I mean, we developed a discipline that was so beautiful, and so much love between us at that time. You know, and we still connect today. We're still very close, very close.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. So what was it like? What advice would you give to the young generation about staying out of prison? What can you give us something that was like so bad that was in prison that people, because some people think that going to prison is a badge of honor, or that they want to go see for themselves. Is there something you can warn people to not go to prison?
I tell you this, there was one day we were sitting in the day room, right? And there was some older brothers, not FOI, just older brothers. And they were telling war stories about prison. And I would listen to them, and I'd be like, yo, these guys is crazy. And they were talking about, yo, and one day a younger brother came to me, I said, yo, why you be listening to them? He said, they be giving up game. I said, they giving up game? They told us how to get over. I said, listen, let me explain something to you. If he knew how to get over, he wouldn't be in here with you telling you how to get over. It don't work. I said, there's no way in here, you know, and to be away from your family for so long and miss your family for so long, there's nothing worth it, man. You know, there's two things in life that I consider, once you lose them, you'll never get them back. And that's a limb. If you lose a limb, you'll never get it back. And time. If you misuse and lose time. I lost 13 years of my life in prison with them. So that's time I'll never get back. I watched my daughter grow up through pictures. You know, I watched my mother get older. I lost my father. So, you know, there's just nothing worth that to get back that time. So if you think it's cool to be in prison, it's not. Only time it's cool to be in prison is when it's cold outside. Why is it cool? Because that's the only time it's cool. It's cold.
Yes, sir.
Other than that, it ain't even worth it. It ain't even worth it. No money, no nothing.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Once you got out of prison, where did you go as far as in the nation? Like, did you go to Brooklyn, New York? Where were you going?
Well, at the time, Brooklyn wasn't established when I first got out. I went straight. As a matter of fact, I got out that night. That morning, they gave me a pass. I went to the halfway house. That morning, they gave me a pass to go out and buy some clothes, I was so scared. First place I went to the mosque. I went straight to the mosque, and I saw a brother by the name of Brother Jerry. I said, Brother Jerry, I'm here. He said, all right. And he gave me the greens. We talked. We swapped numbers. I said, I'm in the halfway house, so I got to go back in. He said, don't worry, we got you, brother. And it was nothing but love ever since then. You know, at that time, there was a brother by the name of Kim. Brother Kim, he was the first officer. And, you know, he showed me nothing but love. And he showed me to a brother who had just did about 25 years, brother by the name of Dow. And he introduced me to Dow. And Dow took my number, and Dow called me every day. When I say every day, brother, that man called me every day. You all right? Okay, you all right? You all right? I mean, it was nothing but love, man. Nothing but love.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And who were the who trained you like once you were in New York? Like who were the trainers of you?
Who trained me? You know, there's two people responsible for my training. Brother Captain Richard, right?
Yes,
but most of my training came from at that time his name was Brother Sherwood, Brother Salim.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When I say that brother, he trained me. He's responsible for most of my training because we lived 2 blocks from each other. So we was always together. I mean, brother, you know, we would go on details. That's when the minister was traveling a lot. And we would travel from city to city to city to city. He kept me around. And Brother Salim has a way of training, right? I mean, it's not the most orthodox way, but it's probably the best way. You know, he was hard. But what's so funny is I would always compare him to Brother Larry, right? Because Brother Larry was hard. I mean, there was no bending Brother Larry, right? And there was no bending Brother Sherwood. And I would always say, Brother Larry prepared me to be underneath Brother Sherwood because it was a very hard training. You know, he commanded the best out of you. He commanded you to look for the best. Always, he always wanted, and his saying to me was always, brother, there's no do-over with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. There's no do-over. You know, so we always got to get it right the first time because we don't have a do-over. You know, and then like we call timeout, okay, run the play again. No, there's no do-over, brother. We have to get it right. We have to cover it all at all time. And that's where he was. And I love him so much for that. I love him so much for that.
Praise be to Allah. So what was your favorite detail working with the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
The favorite, everyone I went on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I can't say I had a favorite. I could never say I had a favorite. They was all good. I enjoyed every last one of them. I learned something from every last one of them. Met so many brothers from every last one of them. You know?
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Now, in your time in prison, to being out of prison, every brother that I interviewed from Brooklyn reminds me, the people,
Republic of Brooklyn.
Yeah, People's Republic of Brooklyn. Yes, sir. The People's Republic of Brooklyn. Has there ever been a time that you were faced with fear? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
I can't really say there was a time I was ever faced with fear that I recognized it. And there's some things I can't say because we're video, but there was times where we've been challenged and we've always come out successful. You know, we've always come out successful, you know. But yes, we've had some challenges, especially in the People's Republic of Brooklyn.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And earlier you spoke of your connection with the 5 percenters and how you joined the nation. Were you able to ever stay connected to any of them?
Oh yes, I still talk to them. Okay. We still talk. When I see them, I don't pass without saying peace. Even if I see one that I know is a God, and I see him, I'll be like, yo, peace, God. They're like, yo, peace. You know, I always get the greetings. You know, always get the greetings.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. And my sister sends the greetings. Naima sends the greetings as well. Yes, sir. The Million Man March. How did it? What was the climate like, and how did it personally impact you?
We was in prison. Mm-hmm. I was at that particular time. I was in Loud Park, California, Loud Park, USP, and that's the only time I've ever seen the police scared to lock us down. Mm-hmm. And I say that to say this because they cracked the doors. Remember, Loud Park is California is 3 hours behind DC, right? So when Sheikh Tijani was calling the Adon, they cracked the doors for us, right? And let us come out, and we was watching. I mean, everybody was watching it, right? And we watched it, and we watched everything, and it was getting close to 4 o'clock, right? And 4 o'clock is a major count in the presidency where everything gets locked down and they count everybody. When the minister came on, it was sometime around 4 o'clock, 4 something, right? And when the minister came on, they looked at us, and they didn't even say nothing. They usually shake the gates for us to go in. They just left it. They know it was not the right time. Check out, listen, check out. And then this is the part that really took my heart, right? When the minister said, grab your brother's hand, right? This was something you would only see in a movie. Now, Loud Park has 3 tiers, right? Who the heck is calling?
Okay, well, our brother's getting a call. I want to thank everyone for continuing to watch the People's Podcast. And okay, we're waiting on our brother to come on back. Thank you all for continuing watching. He has some amazing stories, and we want to make sure that we get all of the stories. And I want to make sure that I guess this would be a perfect time to announce the sponsors of this episode as we come back to hearing what it was like to be behind bars doing the Million Man March, and then to come out and be a very successful businessman like our brother, because he was telling me many of his businesses before we went live, and you all have to hear some of the businesses and how successful they are. If you all, okay, hold on, let me share my screen so everyone can see the sponsors of this month while we wait on our brother to come on back from his phone call. Thank you all for continuing to watch. Okay, here we go. Boom, and we're sharing the screen. All right, perfect. If you all like to be a sponsor of the People's Podcast or be a donor, we greatly appreciate all of the sponsorships and donations. Please cash out the People's Podcast. Thank you very much. I want to start with my brother Rashad, Street Premiere Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. If you all need any of that services, please reach out to him. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book, as well as coloring books, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go out and get those. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. And right here in the studio in Atlanta, we love our tiny dancers. Also, are the brothers out of the West Coast, MTS Car Bros. Any make, any model, any year, 30 to 50% off. Reach out to them. They'll ship vehicles to you anywhere in the country. Sister Rashida Rafat, Raw Communications. She does copy editing, project management, content development, and media relations and consulting. If you all need anything and you're working on a book, please reach out to Raw Communications, Sister Rashida Rafat. Thank you very much. Our family down in Houston, Texas, Sister Melva Muhammad, The Elevated Places, where I am what God says I am. Make sure you reach out to her. And they raise young kings and queens at a school out of Houston, Texas. They do an amazing job. Asiatic Minds Online School, a virtual school that they're raising young gods all across the country. They launched this fall, AsiaticMinds.com, AsiaticMinds.com. Thank you all very much. Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you anywhere in the country. Thank you very much, Brother Kenneth, for your continued sponsorship. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 disinfecting cleaning services out of Chicago, Illinois. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com. Last but not least, my 2 books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much for all of your sponsorships and donations. As we wait for our brother Shawn to come on back in. He spoke earlier of one of his businesses, which is a lawn business, and he was telling me how he has contracts with the funeral homes. He has contracts with psychiatrists. Like he's all of this great business that he does. So we look forward to hearing him. And our brother is back right now. Boom. All right, brother Shawn is back. Okay. Brother Shawn 7X. Are we waiting on him to come on back in? And my sister name says, yes, sir, praise the Lord. Okay,
Okay.
Brother.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, but your camera's to the side a little bit, Brother Shawn.
Let me see how I can figure. How can I reach?
Yeah, just do a little. Boom, there you go.
All right, we have to do it like this then.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So we were talking about the Mean Man March and you being in prison, and
yes. And you know, the minister was talking, was closing out, and he said, "Grab your brother's hand." You know, and in Lounge Park, there's 3 tiers. You know, when I say 3 tiers, like, you know, you have the first floor, your second floor, and everybody can look down. Brothers, everybody, every brother, Mexican, everybody, they grab him. You had brothers standing on tables and chairs, reaching up to the brother on the second tier. The brother on the second tier was standing, there was another brother standing up, grabbing his hand. There's another brother standing on the rails, reaching up to the brother on the third tier. The brother on the third tier was, brother, you looked around and you saw nothing but brothers grabbing their hand. The minister said, "Say your name." And all you heard was, "Shawn," or "Tom," or, you know, everybody was yelling out. Brother, we recited that. And brother, that was the most moving experience of my prison experience right there. And this is how much they respected the minister. And when it was over and he closed out, they came in and said, "Y'all want to lock down now?" Everybody went in their self-account.
Praise God. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, that's amazing. And after the Mean Man March, you're motivated, but you're still behind, you know, the enemy lines of, you know, prison and, you know, in the belly of the beast. You come out. What motivated you to be able to start your own businesses?
I was always an entrepreneur all my life, ever since I could remember. You know, my mother sometimes would say when I was 7 and 8 that I would disappear. You know, I would disappear. And I would always come back with pockets full of change. At that time, we was packing bags. You know, we would pack bags in the grocery store. You know, but as I got older, I wanted more money. I ended up going the wrong way. Ended up in prison, you know, selling drugs. But I have to say this, right? Prison was the best experience for me because it gave me a chance to get slowed down and really meet the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan, Master Farrakhan Muhammad, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, I want to tell you 2 stories. One vision, one story, and one of the things that happened to me in prison when it comes to the nation. And is that all right?
Of course, we're right here with you.
I think I've shared this 2 times in my life. And one of them was remember when the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan was real sick, and they had the picture in the paper of the doctors, you know, saying they wanted to cut out the cancer. You know, I remember I was asking Master Farrakhan Muhammad to keep him alive. And I was praying. And my particular prayer at that time was I would pray to Master Farrakhan Muhammad that the Most Honorable Elijah, that the Honorable Mr. Min Farrakhan can reach more people than I would ever be able to reach. And that if he would be so kind as to take whatever life I have left and give it to him and take my life so that the minister can live. And I would pray this prayer 5 times a day at the end of my prayer. And I would go to bed every night after Isha prayer, knowing that I wasn't going to wake up. I would pray this prayer until one day they said that the minister was all right. But I would pray every night, knowing that I wasn't going to wake up. And when I would wake up in the morning, I would thank Allah. I would say, all praise due to Allah. But it was just the thought of thinking that we was going to lose the minister at that time. That was my prayer. That was my prayer. There was a dream I had, but this was when I came home. I had this dream. One night, I was married at the time. One night, it was right during the month of Ramadan, and got up, made Fajr prayer, read a little bit, went back to sleep. I had this dream about the minister. We were in this park, this big park, and the minister was walking around greeting people, greeting the believers, and I forgot the brother's name who was the security brother at the time. And I don't know his name the minister gave him, but it was Brother Donald at the time. And we was walking around, he was greeting people. He walked up to me and my wife, and he gave us the greetings. He grabbed me, and I grabbed him and gave him the greetings. And I whispered, I said, I know who you are. And he pushed me back. He held me by the shoulder. He looked at me and smiled. He said, well, who else have you told? And I pointed to my wife. He said, just my wife. He smiled, and he walked away. About, I would say, 2, maybe 3 minutes after that, a plane came down and landed. A tall, skinny black, but I mean real black. Right? We used to call them Watusis back in the days. He's very tall, very slim, and he started pointing to people, said, you'll get on, 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 you'll get on. And I'm looking at him, he looked at my wife, you'll get on, you'll get on, you'll get on, you'll get on. And he's looking. Oh, he pointed to me and said, oh, and you get on, right? So we started walking up, and he took me to this room, right? It was a long shower stall. And you could see the brothers was in there taking a shower. You could see they was naked, but you couldn't see their nakedness, And he handed me some soap. He said, I'll see you in a little while. We came out, we was dressed. We was in like a big day room, like a big hall. And you could hear people talking. And you could hear people say, well, I'm from St. Louis, I'm from this place, I'm from that place, I'm from Chicago, I'm from Detroit. And you could hear it. And you can feel as if we was on a roller coaster ride. You can feel us go up, and you can feel us come down. You can feel us go up, and you can feel us come down. And all of a sudden, it just came to a stop. And as we was in doors open up, we was all getting off. And I looked at the brother as we was walking, as I was getting off, and I said, damn. I said, how long we been going? About a week or two? He said, no, 1,000 years, and walked off, plain clothes, and took off. And I woke up after that. And it was so funny because it was the sun beaming in my face. And it was like the blinds was down, but I could feel the sun beaming on me. I woke up and I looked. I just sat there. And I was like, what just happened? But it seems like I've been blessed ever since then.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, we want to just have a quick some follow-up questions for you with that. So when you said the brother was tall, what was he wearing?
He had like a almost like a daishiki type robe. And it was very colorful, and it was almost down to his feet. You know, he was very dark. You know, you couldn't see his eyes he was so dark. He was almost what they call purple black. You know, he had very short hair, very slim. He didn't have no whites in his eyes. And that's basically what I remember about it.
Yes, sir. And then when you said that you,
Excuse?
I said yes, sir. Then you said you had clothes. Like what did they get? What kind of type of clothes did they give you?
No, the clothes I had on. Okay. I don't remember the clothes.
Okay.
I can't remember what clothes I had on.
Yes, sir. And then once it was over, did you ever tell anybody?
No. I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell nobody for about a year and a half. Because I still didn't, you know, when you talk about the mothership to certain people, they be like, yeah, okay. They be like, yeah, okay. So I didn't explain that to nobody. And there was the older brother in the mosque by the name of Abdullah, Spanish brother. And he was translating the message to the black man in Spanish for the minister. I mean, they used to talk a lot. One day, I said, I want to tell you something. Because he always talked about the mothership. You know, baby planes, he was always talking about it. We would walk after FOI class, I'd be walking him home sometime. He'd be like, look, brother, they're following us, right? And I felt like I could tell him, and I wouldn't be looked at it. And I explained to him what happened. He said, brother, that wasn't a dream, that was real. I said, okay, you know, okay. But I still have trouble with it.
Yes, sir. Well, praise be to Allah. In your time, in life, what has been your greatest trial, and how have you overcome that trial?
My greatest trial is my procrastination with myself and things. I push things off until the last minute, and then I rush and do them. I say I work better against pressure, which is really not true. Because I would work better if I got things done and there would be no pressure. You know, that's my biggest trial with myself is conquering my procrastination. You know, I once heard, I always tell Brother Richard told me, he said, brother, you know, that's one part, that's one nation you don't want to be in. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, yeah, you need to leave that nation. I said, what nation is that, brother? He said, procrastination. You know?
Yes, sir. And I wanted to make sure that for those who are watching, please go back and watch the interview with Captain Richard. We've spoken about, interviewed him twice, as well as our brother Salim out of Brooklyn. So I want to make sure that you can go back on people's podcasts and watch both of those interviews as well. My next question for you: what has been your greatest joy, sir?
My what?
Your greatest joy.
My greatest joy? October 22nd, 2002, when I recited and officially got my X. I still got my letter. I got my letter with my lieutenants who signed it.
Beautiful.
That was my greatest joy.
Yes, sir. Now, when I interview people, I always ask certain questions, but I know that there's going to be certain answers because based off of where they are from. So the fact that you are from, People's Republic of Brooklyn, I'm interested to hear your response. What is your favorite album of all time?
My favorite album?
Yes, sir.
See, I'm a little bit before most of them. Rakim, you know I got soul.
Okay.
The R.
Yes, sir.
That's my favorite album. You know, and the favorite record, the favorite cut on the album is How Can I Move the Crowd? You know? And he was dressed up with the FOI, and it was like, how can I move the crowd? First of all, ain't no mistakes allowed. Here's the instructions. Put it together. Simple, ain't it? But quite clever. Some of you been trying to write rhymes for years, but weak ideas irritate my ears. Is this the best that you can take? Make? If not, you got more, I'll wait. But don't make me wait too long, because I'm gonna move on the dance floor when they put something smooth on. So turn up the bass. It's better when it's loud, because I like to move the crowd. That's my joint.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, it's great. Rakim. Well, I mean, Rakim, of course, you know, he's one of the greatest to ever do, especially in that era. So I can only imagine that would be one of your choices. Yes, sir. Outside of listening to music, what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I like working on my business. I like building my business. You know, I have a vision to do something for my nation. I do other things too, but working on my business is one of the things that I enjoy most. And I want to be known in the nation, and that's one of my prayers, is that I can build something and leave as a legacy for my nation. You know, I want to be the first to make 100 millionaires that can donate $1 million to the nation every year, where we would have $100 million and be able to duplicate that within the 8 regions in which we have, you know, where we're donating $800 million a year, where we have our own land. You know, I have a picture of what I call Farad Estates, where we can all live, you know, with a farm. That's my goal. That's my goal. That's what I want to do. You know, that's what I asked Allah to let me live to now, till I can do that.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. If you could meet God face to face and ask him one question, what would you ask him?
If I could meet God face to face and ask him one question. Am I going to be successful in my vision? Am I going to be successful in my vision? That's what I would ask him. It's sort of a selfish answer, but that's what I would want to ask him. Am I going to be successful?
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And if he could ask you one question, what question do you think that he may ask you?
And God asked me a question. I don't even know if I can answer it. What could I answer? What could God ask me that I can answer? You know, gosh, what would God answer? I don't know, brother. I have no idea.
Yes, sir. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, well, you answered the legacy question, and you've answered many questions and given us some information as well as inspiration. Will you ever write a book on your personal life?
I never thought about that. I've never thought about writing a book. That's not something that I think I desire. You know, my goal is more to be able to leave something behind for those who are coming behind me than for me to write a book. I'm not a writer. I'm a reader, but I'm not a writer.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I want to thank you again, Brother Shawn. I want to thank everyone who's watching. And this has been a powerful interview. And for those who are watching on YouTube, once I put it up, if you all have any guest suggestions or you would like to come on, please write your name in the comments so that we can continue to get great history, great motivation, and great inspiration from the people on the People's Podcast. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much, brother, for having me. I appreciate this opportunity, and I pray that Allah bless us all.
Yes, sir. Same here. Same here. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.